everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another top 10 list. Today I'm taking a look at my personal favourite games of 2024. As with any top 10 list, it's obviously going to differ from yours. I've not played every game that's ever been released on PlayStation or Xbox this year, so it's not going to be, extensive. There are games out there that everybody loves that I haven't even looked at or played this year. This is a list of games that I have put a lot of time into this year, games that I will be returning to and playing as the years go on, and games that I've got an awful lot of enjoyment from. I would love, of course, to hear in the comments, guys, from your favourite games of the year, and I do hope you enjoy checking out this list. Right, so coming in at number 10 on my list is WWE 2K24. I've been a consistent wrestling game fan for many, many years. I've played pretty much every one that's ever been released. So this is like an annual pickup for me, the WWE games, and I think this one this year has been particularly good. I just looked the other day to see how many hours I've put into this game this year, and I've put in over 130 hours, so I think it's fair to say I've played this game quite extensively, mostly on the universe mode, but it has got some great other modes as well. The career mode's very, very good. It is moving more towards now with the My Faction, the awful microtransaction things, and I think that's the way it's going to develop going forward. So let's just hope they do manage to keep the quality up on this franchise, because I had a great time playing this one, and any wrestling fan probably did too. Coming in at number 9 on my list, this is probably the most diversive one that I've got on my list this year. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Many people didn't take to this one. Many people thought it was a tamed down version of Dragon Age. I do get that, but at the same time, I also absolutely had a great time playing this one. I always know the acid test for a game is I don't realise how much time I'm pumping into it, and then I'll look and it takes me back, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I spent that much time in this game. And this was one of those games where like 30 hours had gone at the blink of an eye, so that tells me that it was doing its job with me and I was enjoying it. I like the new style of the game, the new art style. I thought it worked quite well. This almost slightly more cartoony approach. Okay, it may not be as gritty and grounded as previous Dragon Age games, but as an RPG, I think it works, and it works quite well. I enjoyed the combat, the voice acting was great too. For me, this was a good Dragon Age entry. Different, but good. Coming in at number 8 is Undisputed. It has been the longest time since we've had a decent boxing game on the PlayStation. Everybody goes on about Fight Night Champion sort of thing as the best ever. Probably is, but we have now Undisputed, and this is undeniably a great fun boxing game if you're a fan of boxing. It's got a great roster. There are some notable missing boxers, but I'm sure they will be added on. They've just done a new DLC with Jake Paul and some others, so obviously they will be added as the game goes forward. But it's got a great career mode. The graphics are great. The physics are pretty good as well. So this is a good start, a good addition to the boxing game back on the PlayStation, on the console, and I'm having a really good time playing this one. So yeah, that's why it has made my list. I think it's pretty good. Now coming in at number 7 on the list, I think is one of the most underrated games of the year, and it is Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden. I think this game is really, really good, and I think if you haven't played it, you definitely need to give it a go. It's got a really good story to it. Essentially, you play this guy who hunts ghosts for a living. His partner's killed, so she kind of becomes his partner in ghost form, and you got to basically go around taking out these ghostly spectres and stuff. It's got a good story. The voice acting's tremendous, and I think the game looks very, very beautiful too. The combat can be argued is fairly weak at times and repetitive, but for me it did its job absolutely, and this is, I think, definitely an underrated game that you should try. Coming in at number 6 on the list is Classified 1944. Now, there's been a lot of turn-based strategy games this year, as there are every year. I'm a big fan of turn-based strategy games. The XCOM games are amongst my favourite. I absolutely adore them. So I'm always interested in a new turn-based strategy game, especially if it's done well. And this one is done well. This is actually follows the blueprint of XCOM quite closely. Outside missions, you've got to kind of gear up, buy new equipment for your team, recruit new soldiers, the whole shebang, really. And then in missions, it plays very, very similar to XCOM. So it's really familiar to play. It's just got that World War II kind of aesthetic to it that works really, really well. I've had a really, really good time playing this one, and this is definitely a game that I will be returning to and revisiting because it's just very well made. Next, coming in at number 5 is Dragon's Dogma 2. I was very excited for this game. Big fan of the first game. I put a lot of time into that one, so I was very much looking forward to Dragon's Dogma 2 coming out. And I wasn't disappointed. The game improves on the first game in most areas. Obviously, graphically, it's a massive improvement. It still adopts the pawn mechanic, where you can kind of hire people to join your party with certain traits, that kind of stuff. It works really, really well. The story's pretty good. The open world is good. The enemy varieties can be argued not brilliant at times, but still, this is one of those games that I pumped a lot of hours into and thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. Now then, as you guys know, if you follow my content, you know I love like park management sims, that kind of stuff, building games, and Planet Zoo. What an addition this was this year by Frontier, who I think are the masters at these sort of games. The game is so beautifully made. It follows a very similar pattern to their other games, park management games. You build the pens, you fill them with animals. You get the guests in, you build vending machines, shops, all that kind of stuff. You've got to make sure the environment's perfect for the animals, and then you kind of move on to the next park. It's got loads of options. It's beautiful to look at, and I think also quite educational too as well. So it ticks an awful lot of boxes, this one, and this is one of those games again where you can just sink 3 or 4 hours into it and not even blink an eye. A beautifully made game, very, very entertaining. Now then, coming in at number 3 on the list is Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. A no holds barred, balls to the wall, absolute shooter. It doesn't mess about, this game. It absolutely looks the business. If you're a fan of Warhammer, which I am, even though I would describe myself as a casual fan, I am trying to learn more about the lore and all this kind of stuff, but it's just so deep and complex. But this game just nailed it, and I'm not usually a massive fan of these sort of games, but it's just so fun to play. It looks stunning. The action is completely over the top and really brutal and violent. You've got your shooting, and then you've got your close range hand-to-hand type stuff. It's just so brilliantly made, and it's incredibly entertaining, this one. An absolute fantastic game. Coming in at number 2 is Planet Coaster 2. Again, Frontier nailed it with this one. I think they've done 2 absolute bangers this year. Planet Coaster 2, for me, was one of my most anticipated games of the year because I'm such a fan of the first one. It's one of those games, absolutely, you can lose yourself in. You go in there, the tutorial's really good. You're moving on to different theme parks, learning how to play the game and building this, building that, making profits, and then you can just be as creative as you want to be on this game. You can ride all the rides, which is just so fun. It runs really smoothly. It's not overly difficult to learn how to play it and how to build your favorite theme park of all time. It's got some great community stuff as well, where you can download things people have created. Top-notch game. And coming in at number 1 is the most recent game on this list, and it's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Yes, okay, there are flaws here, you know, the enemy AI and stuff like that. But in regards to nailing the Indiana Jones aesthetic, theme, feel, they've just absolutely nailed it. This is the Indiana Jones game I've always dreamed of since I was a child. I've played a lot of Indiana Jones games over the years. This is the only one really where I've felt like they've completely nailed every aspect of Indiana Jones. Absolutely loved it. This one, I really, really enjoyed my time with it and strongly recommend it.